Hello everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles. Along with me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, and gunner, Jacob Gloth. And today we are going to be pitching a brand new televisual series for you to imagine with us as we say it, and you'll be like, ooh, what do these characters look like? And I will probably not describe them, and Jake will be like, I bet he's only got 2 legs. And I'll be like, yes, Jake, he only does have 2 legs. Good job.
Only 2. 2 legs, that's what they call him.
Yeah. Old 2 Legs Johnson.
Old 2 Legs Johnson.
That's the main character
That's a
of
good
today's
character.
show.
We should call someone Old 2 Legs Johnson.
I've been really enjoying the strange first name followed by last name that starts with J. I've been enjoying that trope that I've been doing. It's not even a trope, it's just a thing that I do.
Slippin' Jimmy.
Yeah, Slippin' Jimmy from your favorite television
Better
show,
Call Saul.
Game of Thrones.
I haven't finished that yet. It's a good show, though.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing a lawyer show like Better Call Saul, but in like a weird cyberpunk future. I'm still thinking about it. I had the idea while I was at work, and for those of you who don't know, I work at a restaurant, so I just started scribbling it in my notepad that I write orders on.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did that when I was a server.
Yeah.
I wrote 2 pitches on my notepad.
Oh, which ones?
I remember one, the magic one, the one where it's like the city and the guy goes to the magic city.
Oh yeah, okay.
Can't remember what it was called. It was like a magical realism kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, what was it called? Fanciful.
Fanciful, yeah, that's what I remember that one. It was a good one.
Yeah, I did Fanciful on my notepad at work.
Mm-hmm.
Good times.
I'll tell you when it's the one that I did on my notepad at work. But today we're going to be doing a procedural supernatural cop show following a vampiric detective and his undead partner as they solve the oddest crimes in Old York. That's the pitch. Yeah.
It's in the UK's.
I mean, it can be. I was just kind of imagining it as being this.
Well, York. You said Old York,
yeah.
So I assume you were making a joke about New York.
I was
York.
talking about. I was making a joke about New York, but I figured it was in the U.S. and they just moved all of the supernatural creatures to a city that they called Old York because it's all made out of like old Gothic architecture and old stuff like that monsters enjoy. That sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
So that's
in the U.S. All right.
Yeah. But it is a place for all supernatural creatures. Not very many humans live here, and the ones that do are very strange, But it's a supernatural city. And one thing that I think that you and I can agree on is that media, especially Western media, whenever they talk about monsters or, the supernatural, paranormal, that sort of thing, they really only stick to, like, European monsters, right? It's like werewolves, vampires, zombies. Zombies aren't European, but they're,
Yeah,
but
mostly.
they don't do enough. I like a weird, regional monster, right? So I did some research, and by research, I mean literally the bare amount of research, the bare minimum.
Yeah, you looked up.
I Googled monsters from other places besides Europe, or weird monsters or whatever. And I've got a whole bunch of monsters from like 4 from Africa, 1 from Europe, but it's like Russia, 1 from South America, and 1 from Japan, and then 1 from the US of A. Right? That's the monsters I have picked out, and I can say almost none of these names because they're, African and South American names, but they all seemed cool. They all looked cool. And I was like, yeah. So this show, it's going to be like a little bit of a light comedic, not we've been doing a lot of heavy sort of long form storytelling situations where it's like one story that's stretched over multiple episodes, or it's a movie or whatever. I want to get away from that. I want to do a little bit of a procedural. It's just they start and end at the same place, all the characters, and they just do a mystery. They solve a problem for somebody. And in Old York, they are, it's the place where you send all the misfits, all the weirdos, And so they don't have like departments in the traditional sense in their police, force.
Departments? Oh, okay.
They don't have like homicides or, narcotics or sex crimes or whatever. They don't have that. It's just like the cops have to do everything, The same cops that are doing, like, murder investigations are the cops who are doing, like lawn disputes. Like if somebody builds a fence and it's, like, 1/2 inch over the line, these same cops that are doing the murder investigations have to come out and, like, talk people down. And because everyone's a big monster, it's like it can get kind of hairy because you have
because they can smash your face in.
You have a big dragon and a big golem, and they're, like, getting into a dispute over who has to, like, cut the hedges or whatever. It can end in a fiery, muddy fist fight, right? And the thing about murders in Old York is that they're typically not really reported very often because most of the creatures that live in Old York can eat each other, right? So it's like
so they'll just munch them up.
Yeah, no body, no crime, right? So it's whatever.
Nothing there, yeah.
So that it's very rare that these detectives are doing any sort of crime, solving, like, serious murders or whatever. It's mostly just kind of weird. I'm not gonna say silly, but I think I summed it up well with the oddest crimes in Old York. But
yeah,
I'm gonna talk about the characters. Got 5 characters that are our main cast, right?
Let me guess.
Okay.
Jimmy King.
No.
A sort of backwater cop who doesn't play by the rules.
Oh, that's pretty close, actually.
There's always a cop that doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah, he's a loose cannon.
He's a loose cannon, doesn't play by the rules, doesn't take shit from anybody. Has an eye patch. But he has 3 eyes, so it's kind of okay.
I hadn't given him an eye patch, but I actually think an eye patch would be pretty cool for Kilgore Jackson.
Of course.
A loose cannon cop with nothing to lose. He's a classic noir hero, He's constantly smoking and drinking in the precinct, and everyone's like, oh, fuck it, Jesus Christ, this guy. And he's a vampire, but he's a classical European-style vampire. I know I just said that there are too many European vampires, but I like European vampires too, so... He's a classical European vampire. He's just kind of like, he's been around, he's seen some things, and now he's working as a cop in this weird monster city, right? And then there's Dreg. Dreg is a rookie cop who just got transferred from an actual city, right? He was working in, like, Massachusetts or whatever as an actual, like, cop.
Normal dude.
Yeah, and then he died, and he was reincarnated. He was, like...
Oh, so he's a ghost cop.
He was resurrected as
Holy shit, that should be the name of the show. Cancel everything. Ghost cop.
Ghost cop. He's a ghost cop solving ghost crimes. He's a Draugr. If you would recognize if you've ever played a Skyrim video game or done any light Googling on Icelandic, folklore. He's like, he's like a weird frozen zombie. He's got big blue eyes. He looks like kind of the Night King from Game of Thrones. He's a real goofy looking dude. He's long. He's, like, taller than he was when he died because that's what happens when you turn to a Draugr.
Ice increases your height.
Yeah, he gets stretched out, that sort of thing. And so after he died, he was resurrected, and, there's kind of like all this racism against these creatures, because if there was we found out there were a bunch of fucking monsters around, people would not be nice to them.
No, I don't think so.
And then our third character is Dwayne. D-A/Wayne, right? He's a Yawi-Yahoo. Now, if you don't know what a Yawi-Yahoo is, it's an Australian vampire, a folklore from, Australian Aboriginal peoples. Well, the Yawi-Yahoo is known for being a vampire, sort of. He's their version of a vampire, and he's Kilgore's rival. He's a real prick, and he plays by the rules. He's a rule-following cop. And the Yawi-Yahoo is known for not having any teeth, right? Very odd for a vampire not to have any teeth. Instead, he has 10 suckers, each of which is at the end of his fingers, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how he sucks up all the blood, and he's bright orange. And he's really, really short and skinny, and except for when he gets sucking on the blood, and then he sucks up all the blood and he gets fat. And so maybe every other episode we can have Dwayne show up and he's just like fat as shit. And like, Dwayne, and he's like, Dwayne, not Dwayne, Dwayne. He's got to have an Australian accent because that's fun. Dwayne.
Why does he have to have an Australian accent?
Because he's an Australian vampire. He's a Yahoo.
Okay.
Fun name also.
He doesn't have to.
I mean, he doesn't have to, but that's fun. I want to have... Dreg is going to have an American accent. Kilgore's going to have a vaguely European-ish, but like an Americanized European accent. Dwayne.
Sokovian accent. Remember how Elizabeth Olsen's character talked for like sometimes in the MCU?
Exactly. He's going to sound like Elizabeth Olsen.
If you don't, it's like vaguely Russian, but also not at all.
Yeah. Like a Russian accent that was explained to someone.
Maybe a little bit of some Balkan countries mixed in.
Like it would be racist if she weren't white and they weren't white, you know? That sort of...
Or it wasn't a made-up accent.
Yeah, exactly. If she was like, if Sokovia was a real place, it would be a pretty racist accent. But it's not, and you know who else?
It is the Sokovian accent. It'd be spot on. Nobody would be able to tell.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Anyways, so, character.
Yeah, a character that Dwayne, and then Dwayne's partner, Amoy, this is the first of the many names I'm not going to be able to say properly. A Sequoiant? I believe that. She was a star police officer, one of the best in her city, right? She was working in, let's say, I don't know, Minnesota, right? Or Chicago. She was a Chicago cop, best detective in the precinct. Everyone respected her. Everyone thought she was da bomb diggity, right? Until she was revealed to be a monster. Now, a Sequoiant is a kind of vampire, right? But it is an African vampire. And its ability is that it looks like a perfectly normal, attractive woman by the day, and then at night, it tears its skin off and hides the, flesh, and it turns into this flaming ball of fire, or, this swarm of fireflies, right? And it travels the night, like that. And that's how she became such a star detective, is that she would work all day, and then she'd go home and she'd solve all the crimes at night by turning into a bunch of fireflies and flying around and picking up information, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so she and Amoy and Dwayne are partners, and they're kind of, Dreg and Kilgore's opposite. All right. They follow the book. Amoy is she's very experienced cop who's coming from the human world, whereas Dreg is a very inexperienced cop who's coming from the human world. She has been a monster for a very long time. Dreg has, just become a monster. He's still kind of coming to terms with that, with the loss of his humanity and that sort of thing. And our last character is Captain McNeil, right? And she is a hard, tough, no-nonsense captain. She's calm, but she will lay down the law when she needs to. And she's fair, but, a bit intimidating. And she is a Knuckleave, I believe is what Knuckleave, something like that, which is a Scottish monster from Scottish folklore, and it is this giant. Imagine a giant horse, right? That has a rider on the back of it, right?
A centaur.
But the horse has a head still, right? The horse has a head, and the rider and the horse are connected, right? So the rider doesn't have any legs. It's just a torso coming up out of the back of a horse. Okay? You got that image in your head?
But the horse still has a head.
Yeah, exactly. Now, take all of the skin off of everything, so it doesn't have any skin. And the horse has one gigantic eye right in the middle of its head, right? And the human, the torso on the back doesn't have any features. It's a distraction. Basically, like the horse does all the talking, the horse face does all the talking and the seeing and the eating and everything, and the guy on the back is just kind of holds papers for her and stuff, right?
So it's got hands, but that's it.
Yeah, it's got hands, and it has some...
And is it two people in one, or is it one person?
It's
like the horse has control of the human part.
It's one person. The horse is Captain McNeil, and the back, the torso on the back is also Captain McNeil, but the torso on the back can't talk or communicate. But it has,
it's just a part. It's just a body part.
Yeah. But it's got, opposable thumbs and shit. She can open doors and stuff like that, but she can't.
It's just that the horse has hands.
Yeah, exactly.
And like a weird tumor torso.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Exactly. And so, I want you to take these 5 characters, take them, put them in your head, ruminate, think up some episode ideas, because I've got 6 episode ideas right here.
Training day. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
First episode, the pilot. You have to do a training day with
Kilgore and Drag, where Kilgore makes him like drink human blood or something.
Yeah, all this crazy, like we got to make up some crazy demon drugs.
Yes, I hadn't even thought about crazy demon drugs. That's great.
Like this has to happen. Like he has to.
Yeah.
He's gonna get tricked into doing it. It's gonna be a whole like training day thing,
mm-hmm.
and it's gonna end with him shooting Kilgore.
Yeah.
And then Kilgore's just gonna get back up and be like, all right, that was good, a good training day. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, we do a parody on training day.
Yeah, that'd be good. I like that. That's a good first episode.
I mean, like, I'm immortal, so,
Yeah.
It's just, how I introduce all my partners. You actually did well. Usually they die throughout the day,
they
but I guess...
refuse to smoke the human blood that I give them, but you were all about it, bro. It's great.
Yep.
Yeah, let's think up some crazy drugs for these monsters to be doing, right? So smoking human blood, that's a classic.
Yeah,
that's actually from Aztec, mythology and history. They used to smoke human blood after the sacrifices that they would do. So there's that.
Yeah. We could have some sort of white powder, which is like crushed skeleton bone marrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, crushed marrow. I got that marrow.
Crushed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you always have to, whenever you make up a fictional drug, you have to come up with a cool slang term for the people in your story to call it. Marrow, I think, is good.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Let's think. Let's do something that, like, what's a drug? Like, think of a drug that interacts with a sense that most drugs don't interact with, like a sound drug,
Viagra.
Maybe they have like a special plant that can like generate a frequency that's only like that you can only hear if you're undead,
What you could have like dragon breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they put fire in the bottle and you swallow it, and it lets you breathe fire, but also you get like once you breathe the fire, it's over. Like you have one breath of fire, but while you have it in you, while you're like holding it in your lungs, as you would like cigarette smoke or anything like that, you have like the connected consciousness of dragons or something like that. Ooh. You're part of like the connected dragon consciousness.
We could see what dragons are, and we could do it because I actually have a kind of dragon. It's a Nik Naka. It's a dragon-ish creature that is from African folklore. It lives underwater. It is 30 to 50 feet in length. It's got the body of a crocodile and the head of a horse, right? So maybe that could be Kilgore's supplier.
Oh, you know what we could have in one of these episodes? We could have dragon racism. Because there's lots of different types of dragons. There's like the serpent, like sort of Chinese dragon, which is like the snake-like thing, very graceful and intelligent. Then you have like the European dragon, which is just like a feral beast.
Yeah, the big wings, and he's a real prick, and he's setting things
on
fire. Big wings,
fat body. So you could do a couple different types, and they could be dragon racism.
Yeah,
like they hate each other.
There's a gang. Well, what if our characters have to stop a dragon gang war that's happening? It's destroying parts of the city because these dragons keep fucking each other up with flames and poison and spit and shit like that, and they're bashing. It's like Godzilla fighting another Godzilla. They're being real pricks, and Kilgore and Drake have to like try and figure out a way to stop them from fighting without violence because they're fucking dragons. What are you gonna do? Shoot it with your gun? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you gotta like negotiate it. They've gotta negotiate a like medieval marriage between the two dragon families.
Exactly.
to like preserve peace
Yeah.
between their dynasties.
And then
or
it could be revealed at the end that, these two dragons, when their kid will be like fucking enormous. It'll be a huge dragon that could like destroy the world. And Kilgore's just like, well, we don't have to worry about that for another like 30, 50 years. I wash my hands.
Well, maybe at the end of the episode you can be like, what's the Draugr's name again?
Dreg.
So Dreg will be like, he'll learn this from like the ancient Chinese dragon who's like very aged and intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get really upset and he'll tell Kilgore and be like, well, it takes like, we don't have to wait for the apocalypse till the dragon matures, and it takes like 600 years for a dragon to mature, so I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
At least you'll be fine. I mean, I might have some issues.
I might have to deal with it, but you'll have rotted by that point, It's fine.
Yeah.
And that's when Dreg realizes that he's not immortal. Like, he figured being a zombie meant that he would be immortal.
He's like, what do you mean I'm not immortal? He's like, well, yeah, it only adds like, I don't know, 100 years?
100, 150, if you're lucky.
10 to 100. Well, he just gives a huge range. That'd be funny. Like, yeah, it adds like 10, 20.
100, 150, something like that. So, I don't know.
150, like years? And he's like, maybe? He's like, what's the increment? Is it decades, years? What do you say?
Listen,
I don't know.
I'm a vampire
Around there,
specialist. I don't know shit about fucking no Icelandic zombies, all right? You need to go talk to somebody at the library. It's your local fucking library. They have all the information.
You could have an episode about like him trying to discover how long he's got to live.
Mm-hmm. And we could have Kilgore just constantly trying to distract him, because he's like, listen, I know how long I'm going to be alive because I talked to a witch and she gave me, a prophecy and I saw the future. It's knowing when you're going to die never does anything good for you. It always just fucks things up. It's better to just let it ride, see how long you last, maybe you'll get, reanimated again. You could be a walking skeleton. That'll be fun. I mean, you won't be able to feel anything.
It would be kind of interesting if he, is trying to pull him off this path, because he's like, it's pointless. There's no idea to it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And when he finally learns when he's gonna die, the witch or whatever that tells him is like, yeah, but once you know how you're gonna die, you no longer are gonna die that way because you know now.
Yeah.
So it's a different way. So as soon as I tell you,
it'll change.
Which I've just done, it's different now. So it's pointless.
You fucking idiot.
The witch just takes his money and leaves.
Yeah, and she, and she disappears.
And Kilgore's like, well, I told you.
Yeah,
I said it was pointless.
You want to go get something to drink?
Gets hit by a car and dies. End of the show.
End of the show. End of the season. Episode 2.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be. Squish. He's all just dust and bones and ice, because he's an Icelandic zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here are some of the ideas I have for some episodes. Now, the Ninknanka, which is the dragon that I was talking about with the horse head, right? It lives underwater. So I'm imagining Old York is, on the Hudson, right? It's on the Hudson. It's just on the opposite side of the Hudson, so the New Yorkers don't have to fucking see or touch the monsters, right? And so this big creature, the Nicknacka, it lives in the Hudson. It's it stays away from human waters. It's got its own area, but it finds a body, right? Finds a human body, not just a regular body. It finds a human body, and this is a big deal because humans, don't come over here very often, and when they do, they're usually accompanied by like an escort, a police escort, and so. They find a dead one. That's a huge deal. This is going to be national news because, oh my God, one of the monsters killed a human, and that's like a declaration of war. Or are we sure that allowing these things to live in such close proximity to us is safe? And so they have to work. Kilgore and Dreg have to work with the state police to figure out who this guy was who died, how he died, and who killed him, right? And everyone just assumes it's a monster because they died near monster waters, and monsters are uncontrollable, they're dangerous, they're violent. And so Kilgore, he's not so sure. Dreg is still, he's still getting used to being a monster, and so he's kind of bought into the propaganda, the human propaganda, that monsters are inherently violent creatures. So he's
Yeah.
like, it was a monster. You know, it's fine. I understand that you don't want it to be because that would look bad for us, but it is. But Kilgore's like, no, a monster wouldn't kill somebody like this. If a monster kills somebody, they're gonna do it personally with their hands or their claws or their teeth, you know? That sort of thing. This guy was shot with a gun. Magic gun, you know? The bullets have some sort of magical residue, perhaps. So they pull him out, and they're like, oh, what's this? What's going on here? This is crazy. And so Kilgore and Drake have to work with these racist-ass state police officers to figure out what's going on. The police officers, you know, they give Kilgore like a week to figure it out, and then they're, you know, coming in, they're gonna raise hell, right? They're gonna fucking do it themselves. But 2 days after they give him that deadline, they arrest the Nick Nanka. They're like, you're under arrest because you killed this guy. Obviously, you're a monster. You're the one who found him. You're a piece of shit. We hate you, right? So we have a little bit of pathos for the audience because they know the Nick Nanka didn't kill this dude because Nick Nanka was just fucking eating him because it's 50 feet fucking long and it's a dragon and doesn't know how to hold a gun. But the police are stubborn and they're stupid and they don't care. They just want somebody to pin this crime on so they don't have to deal with it. So we have a little bit of pathos for the audience, a little bit of, you know, motivation for Kilgore to actually find this killer. And so it's like a whole thing. We fall down this rabbit hole of various like drug running schemes in and out of the city because, you know, this is the hub for all monster activity. Like, you know, not all, but most, like 90% of monster activity in the world happens in Old York. And so people who are interested in trying monster drugs or having sex with monsters, you know, that sort of thing. Freaks. They're freaks. They're like, okay, well, they're you know, this is the only place we can go. So there's like this whole drug running scheme that's going in and out of the city at the docks, and you know, the Nick Nanka had it. You know, he had seen some stuff, and he was, you know, told to keep quiet or his friends and family would suffer the consequences. And so he's been, you know, he's keeping his mouth shut, and he's like, I'll stay in jail. You know, if it means that my family are safe, I'll stay in jail. But Kilgore and Drake, they figure this out. There's this whole thing. They're going down. They're meeting all sorts of contacts that Kilgore's made over the years, being a weird, immortal European vampire with one eye. He's got an eye patch now. That's canon. He said it as a joke, but it's canon. No. And they eventually figured out that this guy was murdered by a priest. Dun dun dun.
Oh.
The one priest who lives in Old York. He claims to be trying to rehabilitate some of the monsters that are more, you know, human-ish, like werewolves and shit like that. You know, the ones who can pass as human beings. He's been trying to rehabilitate them, but in actuality, he's just been seething with absolute righteous hatred for all these horrible monstrosities. And so, you know, this guy, the one who was murdered, he came to him, and he offered, like, to make, you know, some deals and, like, actually help the monsters. Some charitable organizations, and the priest was like, no, if you do, you'll undo all the great work I've done here, selling these monsters off to the highest bidder, you know, all over the world. You know, these abominations deserve whatever horrible punishment comes their way. And so he fucking shoots him, tosses him in the lake.
Oh,
bing bang boom. Start of the episode. They find this out. They get a recording. Because, you know, it's a popularly held belief in this universe that monsters don't know how to use modern-day technology. But Kilgore, he's been around. He knows. He's a vampire. He's all over this place. And so he used a tape recorder, and he recorded the priest confessing to everything, and there's a big, wide scandal. And then Nick Nanka is finally let out of jail, and it's a win. It's a happy win, and Dreg Kilgore, they sit back down at their desks in their weird, crazy monster police squad place, and they're just like, you know, we all learned a little something today. Maybe it's not Occam's razor. Maybe the most obvious answer is not
Occam's razor?
Isn't that what it is?
Occam's razor.
Occam's razor, sorry.
I watched Contact, did you?
No, I watched...
You watched Contact.
With Jodie Foster?
Yeah, Jodie Foster, Matthew McConaughey.
I've never seen Contact.
Yes, you have.
I have not.
I know you have, because I went to school with you and watched it in class.
No, I did. No, we didn't. I wasn't there for that day.
Okay, I guess not.
I was doing a play. Yeah.
Loser.
Yeah, I know. I haven't seen Contact. I've seen that the parody Rick and Morty did of Contact.
Damn, you gotta watch Contact.
I know I have to watch a lot of things.
It's not like a great movie, but it's okay.
You learned about Occam's razor.
Mediocre.
I learned about Occam's razor from
that's the big takeaway from Contact is Occam's razor, and that Arrival, if you've seen that, is a better version of Contact.
Well, I have seen Arrival, so that means that I don't really need to watch Contact, do I?
Arrival's better, but it doesn't have Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, it has Jeremy Renner though. That's something. He's there. He's singing.
Yeah. No Matthew McConaughey. Ooh, and Jodie Foster telling her about religion, man.
Man, the end of Arrival's is weird. It's a weird film. Because wasn't it?
It's a good ending. I like it.
It is a good ending. Spoilers for Arrival. Wasn't it that she was experiencing her future miscarriage in the past, and that's what?
Yeah,
something like that, right?
She experiences time like all at the same time because she knows that language. That language, that culture doesn't have a concept of time as like a linear thing.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought it was. Something like that. Watch Dune. It's also good. Same director. Even
Dune
more
is a good movie.
understandable. You can understand what's going on in Dune. Arrival took me a little while. Well, let's get back to the show that we're pitching. Now, episode 4, or episode 2. Well, I guess it's episode 4, because we just did the 2 first episodes, and then the episode I just pitched. Episode 4.
Episode 8, gotcha.
You got the Mothman and the Raku Urokub. It's a Japanese monster, and it's basically this woman who.
Great pronunciation, Charles.
I'm basically Japanese. I'm so good at pronouncing Japanese words.
Yep.
But it's basically this lady, right? She looks like a normal lady, but at night she detaches her head from her body, and like all of her organs are like carried with her, and she flies around. She sucks people, and she kills people in the middle of the night. That's her thing, right? And then in the morning, she goes and reattaches all of her internal organs to the body that she has. And then, that. But if you find the body without the head, you fill it with like fucking, I think it's garlic or something else. Might be something else. Something. You fill it with something, and then she goes back into it. She's gonna explode in a fire and be bad.
Yeah.
And so her and the Mothman from the US of A, Mothman, West Virginia, that sort of thing. They're next door neighbors in the suburban part of Old York, and they get into a dispute about the, lawn care. And it's this big fucking how do you do, and you get all their neighbors like pick a side, and there's this whole thing, and Kilgore and Dreg have to figure it out, and they're like, shit, how do we deal with this without turning it into like a pseudo gang war where all these monsters, and they, turn into evil, or not evil, but like bigger, more aggressive versions of themselves and kill each other. How do we stop this? Right?
Yeah.
And eventually they stop it by, I don't know, how should they stop it? They murder both the Mothman and the Rakukub. Okay, it's Rokurookub. Rakurubu. No, that's not right. Something like that. Maybe they should murder him. Maybe they should do something else. Maybe they should get both of them to move. Or, actually, how about this? They fall in love. The Mothman and the Rakurokub fall in love, and that's how they resolve the housing issue.
So they now live in the same house.
They now live in the same house, and they kiss. And it's like a weird moth face kissing up on a weird, like, woman's face, but all of her organs are hanging out of her neck, and she's flying about. And another thing,
and our Draugr boy, like, Drag, looks away, like, horrified, and our vampire guy's like, I don't know,
Yeah, I would.
Once you reach my age, you're
into it.
You get into some weird stuff. Just saying.
You guys looking for a third? And they just get grossed out, and they both leave dejected. Drag because he's so grossed out, and Kilgore because he in his mind, he almost had a three-way, but he didn't. And also, I should mention something very important about Old York. There is a constant film of darkness over the entire city, because monsters live in dark. That's kind of their place. And so there's been a spell that was put on this city by, the most powerful wizards and other mystical beings that live here to keep it as dark as possible. Even in, the brightest day, it's still nighttime there. So that's how Kilgore and everybody else can walk around and not be, destroyed by the sun and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so our next episode, the captain's sister. If you forgot, the captain is a Naklevi, right? Which is the horse lady. The captain's sister gets caught selling drugs. Oh no. The captain's kid's sister, who is also a Naklevi. And so it's just, two giant flesh-covered, skinless horse creatures that are just having a very real conversation that an older sister would have with her younger sister when she got caught doing something illegal. That's why I think most of the comedy of this show will be derived from, is just monsters being in very normal human situations and being being a Mothman has helped me do a lot of things, but it hasn't helped me with my, neighborhood association. They're still pricks, even when they're monsters. And so the captain's sister gets caught selling drugs, and KG and Dreg have to figure out how to stop her supplier, because, the captain cares about her family, so she's sweeping this under the rug, and she knows Kilgore, he's a loose cannon, He'll do things off the books if he needs to, and so she asks him a favor to, keep this to yourself. Maybe Dreg isn't on this mission. Maybe he's working with the Yahoo, Dwayne, for this episode. And Kilgore is, finding and stopping the supplier, because it's this is a dangerous new drug that's being brought into the city. Drops straight from Gotham City. Did I mention I watched The Batman last night again?
The Batman.
It's good. It's a good movie. Jake doesn't like it. I like it.
It's mediocre. No, it's a good movie. I don't like Batman like that.
You don't like sad emo Batman who's not charming.
I like happy Batman.
You like happy, charming Batman.
Give me happy Batman.
You like Batman you can imagine going on a date with someone.
With Selena Kyle.
With anyone, really. I personally...
Michael Keaton Batman, except he doesn't kill people. I watched The Batman and Batman Returns this weekend.
Man, you've been having a Batman
Batman Returns, great movie.
Yeah. The sexiest Batman movie.
Yep, there's a lot of sex jokes, but it works, It's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Danny DeVito's there. It's great. They should bring him back.
Yeah, weird penguin, but...
I think they should bring him back to play Colin Farrell's dad.
Yeah.
I think that could be good. If Danny DeVito in Batman Returns had a kid with a supermodel, I think the kid would end up looking like Colin Farrell in The Batman. Right? You got those really bad genes and then really good genes, and in the middle, it's still kind of bad, but it's not nearly as bad as the really bad genes.
Yeah, like Levi's.
Yeah, exactly. Colin Farrell in the Batman is the Levi's of Batman villains. It's reliable, but he's not great. Pretty expensive. Unless you know where to look. Then not that expensive. Tearing the crotch sometimes.
I just picked a random thing of jeans. I wasn't trying to make anything clever. This is the first type of jeans I can think of.
I'm trying to think of what's the first.
I'm gonna cut out so much from this episode. Can we talk about your?
Yeah, well, I like jeans. Come on,
bitch.
Now episode 3. He's got to find her supplier, and this is kind of a solo mission. So this is much more of a noir style, episode. He's in the. Maybe we could even do it in black and white. I think it'd be fun to do this whole show in black and white, like an old 50s style monster movie, but I'm not sure if that would work. Depends on if we
Okay.
got live aaction or
Like
animated.
Werewolf by Night, the hit Marvel special presentation.
Yeah, that special presentation I haven't seen.
All in black and white. It's good.
Is
Yeah, it's not good. It's okay. It's too short.
Man-Thing is there, and that's fun. I like Man-Thing. But yeah, he finds a supplier. Who should the supplier be? Should the supplier be a impundula, which is a
Sure.
lightning bird from Africa? Just this like fucking huge bird. It's like the size of a man, and it can control the weather. It can like shoot lightning and stuff. And so maybe that's like how he gets the drugs in, is that he's got like a special, thing where like he knows when the ships are coming in that we'll have the drugs, and so he like makes it super foggy so it's hard to see, but gives the ships very exact directions and like guides them because he's a big fucking bird and he can fly,
Yeah.
And then whenever there's like he can see like, oh, the cops are getting in close or whatever, he makes it a fucking hurricane and floods everything, and so the cops' attention is diverted. And Captain McNeil, she knows that something nasty's been going on, and there's monsters that can control weather, so not too far-fetched. So she puts Kilgore in the case and says, no matter what, you have to find this guy because he is pumping poison into the veins of our city. You can't be like that. You love veins.
Yeah.
You're a Dracula. You love veins. You don't want poison in them. That's what she'll say. And he'll be like, that's pretty offensive. Don't call me a Dracula. That's not cool. Not cool, bro. Trying to think of a comparison to real life. If you just call somebody like a famous version of them, like a famous person of their race by their name, but I'm trying to make it not racist. It's like if you called all white people George Washingtons.
So you want to do that with vampires, or
Yeah, it's just you call them
Dracula, or
you call them Draculas. That's basically like calling all white people George Washingtons. That would be funny though. If people were like, on the census, they had like black, Asian, Hispanic, George Washington. That'd be good. And you could pick your version of George Washington.
I'd be George Washington.
Yeah, I'd be George Washington too. I would have all those weird fucked up teeth.
To wear a white wig.
Yeah, white wig. Chop down some fucking trees.
Would be able to lie.
I wouldn't lie. Oh, actually, that would be pretty difficult for me. I enjoy lying. Episode 4 is a Nandi bear, which is a huge bear that's got tentacles and a beak. I'm basing that more off of a fan art I saw of this monster, but it's also African. It's an African animal. It's like this fucking huge, like elephant-sized bear, and it's got like a bunch of like squid tentacles coming out of its face, and it's been receiving a bunch of death threats, and so KG and Dreg have to monitor its house. It's this very, very, the Nandi bear is very intimidating looking. Then you get talking to him, and he's just such a coward. He's so scared of everything all the time, and he's getting all of these death threats from someone we don't know who, and Kilgore has to figure it out. They have to figure it out by just fucking watching this Nandi bear do shit all day, just in his house, like mow his lawn, but he doesn't have opposable thumbs, so he's using his tentacles to move the lawnmower, that sort of thing. And who should the threader be? I don't know. Let's think about it. Who should it be, Jake? Give us a thing.
Yeah, like what kind of monster?
Yeah.
I'm not the one with the list of monsters in front of me.
I do have a list of monsters in front of me.
It's a chupacabra.
That would be good, actually. I hadn't even thought about a chupacabra. It's a chupacabra, and he's pissed.
Really? You hadn't thought of a chupacabra?
Well, I was trying to do ones that like nobody had really heard of before. Except for the Baba Yaga, who is here.
You did vampires.
But that was an exception to the
And
rule.
dragons.
I said it. I talked about the dragon. The Niknaka is a giant horse-faced crocodile dragon. That's different. You know it. Don't lie.
One of your main characters is literally a European.
Yeah,
vampire.
but I gave it I put the lampshade on it, so it's fine. I lampshaded it. But yeah, how about it's a chupacabra and he's pissed because the Nandi bear, something really mundane. What's something mundane? The Nandi bear cut him off in traffic. It's because the Nandi bear was about to shit his pants, and he really needed to go, and so he was driving really fast and irresponsibly. And then the chupacabra was like, "Hey, fuck you, buddy," and the Nandi bear didn't even notice. He just went to the bathroom, but because he's a bear, he just went in the woods. Because he doesn't have pants. He's a bear. He's a giant bear. And then they come to a meeting of the minds, the chupacabra and the Nandi bear, and they finally resolve their issues. And then just as the chupacabra is walking away satisfied with what happened, the Nandi bear just fucking eats him. Because he's a monster and he doesn't give a shit. He just fucking grabs him with his tentacles and slowly pulls him into his mouth. And you can just see this fear on the chupacabra's face, and Kilgore's watching, smoking a cigarette. And Drag is like, "Oh my god, we gotta help him." And, the Nandi bear just devours this chupacabra, burps. And then, Drag says to Kilgore, "Are we gonna do something?" Kilgore's just like, "About what?" It's that murder. We just witnessed a murder. It's like, no body, no crime. Credits. You hold on Dreg's face as he's a little horrified for a second. And then he's just like, whatever. He gets his car, drives away. No body, no crime. Dun 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 dun. Exactly like that. I
got an idea.
Yeah, let's hear it.
See, the issue is I don't remember enough about these to do it justice, but in Chinese folklore, and they have it in Tibetan and Japanese and Indian folklore as well, but it's different in each place. Mm-hmm. They have a concept called a hungry ghost. Mm-hmm. And I think we could do an interesting episode here, because in Chinese folklore, it's once you die, no matter what, you become a ghost, but over time you weaken and you die a second time. Oh. And you go to wherever.
That sucks.
Unless you become a hungry ghost, which is if you did something bad. Usually it's you were a murderer or something like that. No. You'll sometimes become a hungry ghost. And they're like evil ghosts, They're bad, Oh. So we could have an episode where the characters are hunting a hungry ghost. But they're going through the you could have a part of town called Ghost Town.
Oh yeah, that would be fun, like Chinatown, but it's just ghosts.
Yeah, but it's a ghost town, and it's tons of people that have died recently in the normal world, just hanging out, mm-hmm. Doing whatever until they die a second time.
Yeah, just throwing themselves in front of buses.
They're trying to find the hungry ghost amongst all the other ghosts.
Yeah,
and get it before it does something
bad.
It
does another crime, but turns out the hungry ghost is, Hungry Ghost has been eluding them because the Hungry Ghost is also a food critic.
Yeah,
now
it's literally hungry.
Yeah, he's a hungry ghost, and so he's a food critic. He's one of the most famous food critics in the city, and everyone's like, he doesn't even fucking taste things. He's a ghost. He doesn't have a tongue. They're like, nah, but he's got such good opinions. He's got such a refined palate for being dead.
And I believe the way you get rid of them is, those there's lanterns that you light and they fly up in the sky. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Those, I believe you'd light those, and it's they're meant to lead the ghost back to hell. Mm-hmm. The hungry ghost. So we could end the episode with them lighting a bunch of lanterns to, get the ghost to reveal itself.
And then just Kilgore shoots
trying
it.
to get back to hell, and then maybe they let it go to hell, or maybe they trap it or something.
They pull it. They
let it. They're it gets up in the air. They trap it so that they can find its victims or something like that. I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Because it's been stealing people's souls, stealing monster souls, and leaving their bodies husks.
Send it to hell or something.
Yeah, and then once they find the thing, they bring the Hungry Ghost down, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna send me to jail now? Pff, okay, whatever." And then Kilgore just starts silently doing this satanic ritual, and then Drag is like, "What?" And Kilgore's just like, "Hold him, hold him still, and they just like banish him to hell. And the Hungry Ghost is like, "What, you prick? This isn't. I have rights. What the hell are you?" Ah! Down in hell, real sad about it. I actually had a fun ghost idea for another episode, which is a squad of ghosts, like real, like invisible, you can't see them ghosts. Let's call them poltergeists. Yeah. There's different, right? There's different types. So the ghosts are the ones that are like the classic Casper style. You can see through them. They can't touch things, but they have a face, and you can understand what they're saying and doing, right? And see them. And then there's poltergeists, which they're completely invisible, can't see what they're doing unless you've got like some magic glasses or a spell or whatever. But they can move and touch things, right? And most poltergeists are pretty chill because they can. Regular ghosts can see them, so that's just kind of like this weird invisible minority that lives in Ghost Town that they don't really interact with very much. But this team of poltergeists, they've decided to start pulling art heists. So they've just been stealing paintings. Because I think it would be very cool to have our, Kilgore and Dreg try and find this squad, this, team of invisible thieves that have this, like, huge pile of just stolen artworks and stuff that they've been trying to fleece. But it's really difficult to fleece something when no one can see or hear you.
Yeah.
And so they've just like got this big pile up of different, things of like sculptures and paintings and stuff that they've just been hiding in a warehouse. And eventually, after like tracking down a bunch of leads, they find them. Kilgore's like, "Fine, you're all under arrest." He's got like on some sort of special glasses. You know how in these sorts of TV shows and movies, they always have special glasses that let them see, paranormal stuff. And they're always round, They're never, like, regular-looking glasses. They're always round. So he's got these special round glasses. And he's like, "All right, you're all under arrest." He's got this gun trained on all of them. And they all just, like, walk backwards through the wall. And he's like, "Shit." They just disappear. And he's like, "Ah, crap. Well, at least we got all this art back." And then all the art just, like, falls through the floor. They just grabbed it through the floor and pulled it down with them. It's like, shit. They disappear, and then we cut to post-credit scene. All the ghosts are just sitting on a beach sipping Mai Tais. And there's some human tourists, and they're just shitting their pants. They're not having a good time. And it's a little comedic ending to it.
There's ghosts.
Yeah. Ghost. Then we see Scooby-Doo. They see a dog. And they're like, "Scooby!" And they drown him. Maybe not that part. I think it would be funny, though. They possess a dog and drown him because they think he's Scooby-Doo. He's not. He's just a dog.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much my show. It's more of a procedural. It's a fun little procedural thing. You see all these different monsters, different weird cultures. No, not that the cultures are weird, but the like monsters are weird from each of these cultures, and they're interacting in weird and interesting ways. And they're each doing something new. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got.
You could, if you wanted to string along some sort of hidden serialized narrative within it. I feel like the obvious stuff is like, oh, the government's going to destroy the monsters or something like that. So it'd be more fun to do something like within the city.
Yeah.
Like some sort of like monster gang war that's like gonna happen.
Yeah, or like there's a
Maybe
cult.
You could have like
there's a cult that's been like developing, through the underclasses of the city that are like, we're gonna take over this city and then we're gonna take over the human world and blah 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 blah. And Kilgore and the whole squad, everybody, Amoy and Dwayne and Dreg and Captain McNeil, they all have to work together to stop it. They're like, yeah, it's good. We're finally doing something good together. That could be our final episode of the season. We have a 2-parter. That could be good. I always enjoy a 2-parter in a procedural show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comes out of nowhere. You're like used to these little bite-sized stories, and then boom, 2 parts.
Boom, 2 parts.
How does that happen?
Because you get to like 5 minutes before the episode's supposed to end, and you're like, oh my god, how are they going to wrap this up in 5 minutes? Oh, I better see after this commercial break. You know, you come back after the commercial break, 2 minutes of actions happen. It's like, to be continued in part 2, coming.
You're like, what? I gotta wait a whole week?
I gotta wait a whole week for television? I was born in 2015, alright? We binge things now. We're bingers. That's what kids talk like.
That's right. Charlie was born in 2000.
I was born in 2015. I am 7. I was 7 years old.
Yep, he is.
And Jake is 22.
Good times.
Good times. Weird that you have a podcast with a 7-year-old. Weird, even weirder that the 7-year-old is the one who does the outro. Like this. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles Long. With me has always been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, and legal guardian, Jake Bloth. Thank you for listening. Have a good week. Tell your friends and family to listen to this podcast, and tell Jake that I need to be let out to pee again.
Remember, Charlie, we're in a space station.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that we are in the space station. The simulation room is so realistic. I thought I was in a crowded apartment room in a flat in a city.
The only reason it's crowded is because you got so much crap.
I have so much shit in here. It's crazy. So many comic books.
He really should just... There's a toilet right there. I don't know why he doesn't just go in.
It's the corner for me.
Poops on the floor.
It's corner or nothing. I'm making a throne. It's like...
They call it the iron throne.
They call it the...
Because you...
Iron deficiency throne.
You consume a lot of iron. Yeah. I was going for the opposite.
Yeah, you ran a fucking metal detector over my poops.
Though I think it's more of a stool, if you ask me.
Oh, no, that's comedy.
That is comedy.
I like that. Right, folks. Well, it doesn't get any better than that. Have a.
It could get a lot better.
It could, but it's not gonna.
I think it'd be great if one of these days, we get like people that are actually funny, maybe comedians, stand-up comedians, to do our podcast for us,
and then
like they do it well.
That would be great if we just found 2 like actual stand-up comedians and got them to just like, hey, your name is Charles Long, your name is Jacob, you're gonna do a podcast, pitch a TV show.
They do it, and it's so much better.
It's like well written. There's ideas. There's a through line. There's like character arcs and shit. All right, goodbye.
Bye.